benefit of the doubt to any TNA alumni who's come over from TNA to WWE, which is why I think the purpose of signing TNA wrestlers are always being defeated. Because if you're signing a TNA wrestler, why would you defeat the purpose of having them signed by never giving them the benefit of the doubt, only to release them months later? Now, Marcus Corvan was a perfect example of that. They brought him in with so much promise, repackaging him from Monty Brown from TNA to Marcus Corvan. They throw him in with the new breed. Nothing was done with him after bringing him in with so much promise. And I don't think they're really going to give anything for Samoa Joe to do early on. And it's probably going to be forever before he's ever given the benefit of the doubt. He'll probably be given the benefit of the doubt before Sting ever is. But I mean, the Sting and Samoa Joe issues kind of relate and tie in significantly because they've never given the benefit of the doubt to any TNA alumni nor World Championship Wrestling alumni. Yeah, they've given them brief title reigns, but I mean, how last did the title reign of Bill Goldberg or a run of Jeff Jarrett last in WWE? It didn't last long enough to even remember. People remember Goldberg because of the name. They don't choose to remember Goldberg because of the lackluster world title reign he had representing the Raw brand back in 2003, 2004. By September of that year, after chasing Triple H for months on end in Evolution, Goldberg was given the title, but by that following December, Triple H won the title back, and you never heard talk of Goldberg after. That following February, he was released around the same time Brock Lesnar was. They were given both their releases at the same time. Again, perfect examples of how WWE never gave WCW or TNA alumni the benefit of the doubt. And don't forget that Sting is a TNA alumni, but even though he's a TNA and WCW alumni, I think Sting deserves a hell of a lot better than what he got. I mean, he was so professional in that match with Seth Rollins. That was something that really was the highlight of the match. It wasn't how Seth Rollins outperformed Sting in that match, because you better believe that Sting was not outperformed by Seth Rollins. The highlight of the match was how the Doctor wanted to stop the match, and Sting wanted to be so professional that he wanted to follow through with the match and finish the match, and they let Sting finish the match off the curb stomp and being pinned by Seth Rollins. Yes, it may have made Seth Rollins into a bigger name and more noticed off this match and the followed of it by wrestling fans than he was going in to the match with Sting, especially with how Seth Rollins referred to himself as the God of Gods and a God after he defeated Sting at the Night of Champions pay-per-view, which arguably is one of the biggest matches Seth Rollins has ever been involved in his wrestling career. Off of that now, Seth Rollins was injured with the running powerbomb months later, and he promises now he's coming back better than he ever has before, which no doubt he will off that victory over Sting. I mean, how can you not come back better than you ever have before with a victory to Sting, to your credit, at Night of Champions, regardless of how it happened? The thing is, I think Sting has been known more for losing, and it's been notable over the years that Sting's win-loss record, the number of times he's lost, is outnumbered significantly the number of times that he's won. It's been known for whatever promotion Sting's wrestled for. He's lost a lot of matches, but I mean, he's been known for creating names out of people like Bubba Ray Dudley and names like Seth Rollins. So I mean, it's no surprise to me that things have gone the way they have for Sting and WWE, because not only because of how WWE never lets WCW get the benefit of the doubt, but with how Sting has created superstars at his expense for years and seems to have enjoyed doing that. But not to say that he enjoys losing to people like Triple H and Seth Rollins in WWE after having this grudge exist with WWE for years, and especially out that YouTube video in 2005 when he said he'd never work for the McMahon family, and he's kind of gone back on that because he knew what was going to happen. If you're Sting and you know the history of WWE when it comes to WCW wrestlers, and especially with how they feel about you and have felt about you for years, being that one name that almost put them out of business. If you know anything about WWE, he had to have known that he was going to be treated this way, and he was going to probably lose more in WWE when wrestling than winning. But even though he signed and, knew that, I think there's still that career-defining moment that needs to happen for Sting. I mean, who out there doesn't want to see Sting versus The Undertaker? I think every wrestling fan, whoever was a fan of professional wrestling, wants to see Sting versus The Undertaker, regardless of who wins. And I think that if The Undertaker is contemplating retirement, there is nobody more perfect to lose to than Sting. And that is where that career-defining moment factors in. Regardless if Sting returns tonight after WrestleMania or not, and we see a face-to-face between either Sting and Roman Reigns or Triple H, or both, setting up for a three-way between Sting, Roman Reigns, and Triple H, I think that match between Sting and The Undertaker is a match that really needs to happen when you're talking about dream matches that actually involve Sting. The conversation has always been about Sting versus The Undertaker. And here's the thing, Sting has this incredible ability to create with so many wrestlers. He's had that on and off again in his wrestling career. He's had every kind of role, even the general manager position of TNA Wrestling, which he did a phenomenal job at, even though he received a tremendous amount of criticism for doing it, because it really demonstrated Sting's understanding of the wrestling business for over 25 plus years. I mean, when you can backtrack to 1990, and see Sting winning championships from the like of Ric Flair at the Great American Bash pay-per-view of that year, which really defined that promotion that he worked for at the time, and that incredible match he had with Ric Flair. I mean, that really shows just how much of an understanding you have of this business. In my opinion, when you talk about some of the greatest wrestling psychologists ever, Sting is definitely one of them, because you have the lights going out, you have him coming down from the Raptors, which is something that he should have done long before now in WWE, which I'm still waiting on to happen, even though they've kind of banned that sort of entrance because of the conflicts that have happened with the Owen Hart situation and stuff. I'm still waiting for Sting to have that incredible entrance. There's so much in the way of career-defining moments that have yet to happen for Sting, and an early prediction I could make is that he's going to return the night after WrestleMania and confront either Triple H or Roman Reigns in the fallout of a pending championship match, which we're still waiting on confirmation for. A lot of people feel it's going to go the way of Triple H versus Roman Reigns because of Sting's status now in WWE and his future being in question. But I think in the fallout, that's going to be the biggest thing, because the night after WrestleMania has been known for either debuts or returns. We know the debut of Mankind happened at WrestleMania 12. Of course, the night after WrestleMania 12 on April 1st, 1996. And then in 2012, Brock Lesnar's return to confront John Cena. We all remember all those returns and those debuts that have happened. So with how WrestleMania's track record of debuts and returns in the past have been something that wrestling fans have taken into consideration time after time, with the debuts of Mick Foley and the Brock Lesnar return in 2012, something could happen in the fall of WrestleMania 32 this year, and we could be seeing Sting's return in a big way. And I'm really looking forward to finding out how that celebration will go the night after WrestleMania for whoever the champion is, whoever comes out of the main event of WrestleMania victorious, because the night after WrestleMania has been known notorious for these returns and these debuts, the likes of Mick Foley and Brock Lesnar. We all remember those. So there's a lot of factors that play into the future of Sting. Just as I believe one day we would see Sting compete in a WWE ring, I don't believe that we have seen the last of Sting following what happened in his match with Seth Rollins, especially with how Sting received a standing ovation after he was helped out of the ring and left the ring in an incredible performance that he gave us with Seth Rollins, as he has many times over his wrestling career. Sting versus Diamond Dallas Page on Monday Night Nitro for the championship, where Sting won the championship in an incredible match. I remember those matches. I also remember the matches he had with Lex Luger and Hulk Hogan on Monday Night Nitro, and all those epic confrontations that really defined what the Monday Night War was really all about. He definitely was a driving force behind World Championship Wrestling's success. Not only was he a driving force behind World Championship Wrestling, but he was also one of those wrestlers that were extremely loyal to World Championship Wrestling. And because he never signed with WWE and weren't one of the wrestlers that jumped ship, which we saw wrestlers do all the time, from World Championship Wrestling to WWE to World Championship Wrestling, because he wasn't one of those wrestlers that jumped ship and choose to sign with Vince McMahon, I think Vince McMahon and Triple H have just had that personal grudge against Sting for forever, and they're just punishing Sting by having him lose every opportunity they throw his way. Yeah, Sting says he's going to reach out and grab every opportunity, but the way Triple H especially is looking at this, Sting says he's going to reach out and grab every opportunity we're throwing his way, but we're going to cost him every opportunity we're throwing his way some way or somehow. I keep going back to that comment that Triple H made in a promo after Sting interfered in a 3-on-1 handicap match where John Cena faced The Authority. I think it was against Big Show, Seth Rollins, and Kane at the time, where Dolph Ziggler, Ryback, and Eric Rowan's careers were on the line in the match. I keep going back to that promo where Triple H sat on the microphone. He stood on top of the commentator's table in front of JBL, Michael Cole, and Jerry the King Lawler at the time, and he said, "Sting, you don't belong here." And he kept repeating it over and over and over again. "Sting, you don't belong here. Sting, you don't belong here." Even though that's been what's in the minds of, the authorities in WWE, the upper echelon, Sting has always belonged in whatever promotion he's always had the opportunity to work for, which is why I think more people need to be giving Sting the benefit of the doubt. Really give him a chance in WWE rather than jumping the proverbial conclusion of how Sting doesn't belong here in WWE, as I once again reiterate that for you, because I think Sting has always belonged in whatever promotion he's been involved with for years, even on the independent level that he's made appearances for. The thing is, Sting has always belonged somewhere. I think that people are just drawing conclusions which they have no business drawing, and I think they're really just jumping the proverbial gun with Sting, because I think Sting's best years and best accomplishments and career highlights have yet to be witnessed by both himself and his wrestling fans. I know I've said that time and time again, but when you're talking about a future for Sting, without a doubt, Sting does have a future with WWE ahead. And I'm looking forward to promising things happening for Sting, because I've always been a huge fan of Sting. I haven't turned on him before in my life, and I'm not going to start now. I'm not going to start throwing criticism the way of someone like Sting as I have Triple H. The reason behind why I've been so critical towards Triple H and the decisions he's made as the COO of WWE is because I don't think that Triple H really has a sense of direction when it comes to running WWE, just like Vince McMahon has had for years. That's why I was so proud to read on ProWrestling.net and .com that Vince McMahon was still the man calling the shots backstage and still was the one within power at 70 years of age, which is why I'm really high on Vince McMahon's return to TV for the first time in about 4 or 5 years. Really excited to see Vince McMahon involved in the storyline now with Roman Reigns and Sheamus this close to WrestleMania, because it's obviously hyping up for Triple H's return for vengeance on what happened to him at TLC because of what happened with Roman Reigns, and Triple H versus Roman Reigns obviously at WrestleMania, and Sting probably returning in the fallout of this year's WrestleMania. But the thing is, Vince McMahon's always had a sense of direction for WWE, something that Triple H doesn't have a chance of possessing or have any qualities towards. I mean, the comparison between Vince and Triple H is really nothing. I think that Vince McMahon is definitely on parallel to anything we have ever seen in professional wrestling, and it's going to be a long time before Triple H is even compared in the same category, or even in the same category of Vince McMahon, to say that matter. I think Vince McMahon is back, really, when you look at it, to save WWE from getting out of this proverbial corner and this impenetrable corner that's been caught up within because of everything Triple H has done. In terms of making creative decisions, it's very rarely we hear Triple H make any, intelligent statements. Yeah, Triple H has made intelligent statements in the past, but I mean, how many of those intelligent statements outnumber the amount of unintelligent statements and decisions